Hello, everyone, and welcome to tonight's 8th episode of Call of Cthulhu Path of Perdition. I am Alex Xander Rabitsky. I will be your keeper of arcane lore for the evening. You may just call me the Keeper. I am joined, as always, by my awesomely talented and delightfully insane friends from Internet Remix. I am joined by Split Guardian.
That's me. Usually I've had about 3 beers by this point, but I've been slacking a little bit. Should I chug this shit?
No. Yeah. Two people. Two types of people.
Who said yes? Who said yes?
No one said yes. We're moving on.
Alright, it's Jordan. Alright, cool.
God damn it. Alright. Joined also by Atwis.
Hello, gamers.
Rejoice. I am joined by Upgraded Moon, also known as Jordan.
Hello?
Hello? Hello?
Hello?
Can you hear me?
Yes, this is the doctor's office.
Yes, I'd like to order that this bit stop. Alright, and then we are also joined by the Brother Dingleberry.
Tis I, Brother Dingleberry.
And
the British boy.
the British boy, the high-pitched British lad. And, of course, last but certainly not least, our dear friend, Kristen Crimes Trzynski.
Hello.
Hello. Y'all can't see it, but she's cuddling a dinosaur plushie. It's quality content. His
name is Techon.
Oh, love it. Good content.
Mm-hmm.
We are continuing now. This is our 8th episode of our 9-session Call of Cthulhu series. This is your first time joining us. Go back and watch the rest of the episodes. We're in like the second to last episode. You're gonna miss so much. The spoilers. So many spoilers. But this is part of our ongoing annual Camp Streamix streaming event, where Team Fallen, Team Murder, and Team Annihilation, hosted by yours truly, have a fun competition for points accrued through fan works and stream donations. So if you're interested in getting in on that, if you haven't been, following that at all, check out all the rules and whatsits over on our social media at our Tumblr and our Twitter. So that's all over there. If you don't want to donate during the stream, we have a coffee, so donate during that. It's good times all around. Good times from Lester Goodman. But we are going to dive right back into where we left off, or rather more accurately, we are going to rewind the clock a little bit. We're going to reverse the flow of time ever so slightly to take us a few, about like an hour into the past. When, to recap really quickly, when the 1920s disaster gang investigated the church belonging to the Order of the Xanthus Diadem, the Disciples of the Xanthus Diadem, they found a pretty standard cult amount of bullshit. It was a lot. And they returned to the station after seeing a bunch of references and indications that there was something important about that corpse in the Santa Fe Police Department morgue that was covered in insects and grave crawlers. When arriving, they, however, found that the morgue assistant was dead and the lights went out, and they were in the dark building with a crawling one, a undead creature of rotted flesh and with a shell, one might say, of grave creepers. After dealing with said horror, much to the expense of some of our investigators' sanity, it was James O'Connell who, when opening the door to the breaker room and saw this horror, his mind gave out under the weight of the reality surrounding him, and he fell into a deep unconsciousness. And before we dive into the rest of the events that transpired, we're going to focus on that, when James's body falls through the air in slow motion before hitting the ground of the police department building with a rebounding thud, and he is out like a light. James, your head spins for a long moment. You feel like you are... It is this disorienting feeling. It is almost as if you are plummeting from a great height while simultaneously also being submerged in deep, icy water. It is this floating, falling dichotomy that is causing your head to spin. There is a great deal of nausea. Your mind reels, and you can feel it just behind your eyes, the front of your brain, just this throbbing headache. But things subside a little bit. There's not relief that comes with this, but there is a sense of lessening. And you suddenly realize that you're not falling or floating or whatever you were anymore. Now, you are seated in some kind of chair. You kind of like look, you blink to consciousness, and you see that you are seated on a bar stool, a padded bar stool in an old small town bar. This bar looks familiar to you only in the context that you were here in your dreams just yesterday. So there is familiarity in that. Or I should say earlier this morning. It is the exact same scene. But the bar is empty. Drinks behind the counter. You glance over to where the bathroom door was. The last time where you were here, you feel this instinct to look over there. And as you do, you see that the bathroom door is closed, and you don't feel beckoned towards it anymore. Moreover, you don't feel that whatever is outside is that terrible anymore. But there's something wrong here. You can't place your finger on it, but there is something deeply, deeply wrong. What you do notice, though, is there is a small trail of bugs, centipedes, and worms that are behind the bar counter and go into the back of the bar out of sight. And you can hear what sounds like someone is humming in the back of the shop.
If I remember correctly, there were windows in this bar, right?
Yeah, but you can only see inky darkness out in the streets outside.
Okay, so that's exactly the same.
Yeah, you glance over to the windows and you hear that you hear like a footstep that echoes oddly throughout the building. And then a couple more, and the humming gets closer until coming around the corner out of the back, you see a gentleman of above average height and musculature, very well groomed hair, slightly regal features, a wide grin that has an underlying predatory nature, and eyes where the smile never quite touches, and there's an intensity to them. This is a mask of feigned hospitality. He is holding a broom in one hand and a bucket in the other. You can see that the bucket is full of all of these dead insects and worms. And he moves into the room and is not looking at you, but he turns to look at you. When he does, though, he doesn't turn his head. He turns with his whole body to look at you. A single stiff motion to make your acquaintance. And with this unblinking stare and non-yielding grin, he just says, "Oh, I apologize. I didn't hear you come in. I'm so sorry. You caught me in the middle of cleaning."
Yeah.
One moment, sir. Sorry, we're having a little bit of a infestation. And he sets the bucket down, he doesn't release the handle on the bucket. It touches the ground, and he's like slightly crouched down to bend over and put to rest on the ground, but he is still looking directly at you with his smile and is not breaking eye contact. And he just begins to scrape the bucket against the ground out of sight behind the door very slowly. just the metal of the pail scraping against the wood of the floor until his arm bends abnormally behind him with a little popping sound, and then he releases the handle and the arm whips back into place and goes, "Sorry, bugs, am I right?" So, he sets the broom down, walks behind the bar, puts on an apron, and says, "Welcome! What can I get for you, sir?"
I'll take a shot.
"Of what?"
Whiskey.
"Ah, yes. Coming right up for you, sir." This barman turns around, grabs a shot glass from up on the shelf, and grabs a bottle of what you assume is whiskey. Everything here is in black and white, so you can't discern the colors and the shades of brown. However, there's something about the shape of the bottle and the way that the liquid kind of flows in its own bottle that you feel like this is whiskey. He pours it into the shot glass right in front of you, and he just lets it pour until it just spills over, just smiling at you. And it goes on for a long moment.
So, nice place you got here.
"Thank you!" He slams the bottle back on the counter and stops pouring. "There you are, sir. First one is always on the house."
Appreciate it. Funny thing, I don't think this is my first time here. And he's gonna take the shot glass in hand. And he's gonna look down into the glass and just make sure it's correct liquid in there.
Yeah, I mean, to your senses that you can make out, aside from the lack of color, smells like whiskey. Nothing seems off about its the way light reflects against it. What you can make out.
How about you take one with me, buddy?
"Oh, I would be more than happy to, but unfortunately, I don't drink alcohol." Ha 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 ha.
Right. And he's gonna throw it back. Shot back down on the counter. So you got a bug problem here?
"Just a bit. It's all over now. Things are shaping up."
How so?
"Well, the bugs are cleaned up."
Right. The bucket.
"That's right. The bucket."
All out of the bathroom and everything?
"Oh, yes. Bathroom is clean and functional once again. Can I get you something else to drink? Something on the rocks, perhaps?"
Sure, buddy.
"Right away, sir. By the way, I didn't quite catch your name." He begins to scoop ice from a bucket, never breaking eye contact with you. And then
just
begins to fill up the
keeping
glass.
eye contact the whole time.
"I didn't catch your name."
Not yours either.
"But sir, you already know my name. I'm Lester. Lester Goodman.
How would I know your name if you didn't know mine?
I've been with you for some time. But
How
it's
long?
all right. We're about to go home again.
Where's home?
Don't worry. The ride will be easy. If you let it. Here's your drink, sir." Sets the drink right in front of you.
Look down. You pick that one up. Give it another sniff.
Yep, give it a sniff.
Does it seem like...
Seems like a vodka on the rocks, vodka soda.
Right. I'm just gonna take a sip of that.
Start tilting it
Just
back.
Never breaking eye
You watch as a
contact.
fly lands directly onto his unblinking eye and just kind of crawls across his face a little bit, and then flies back off.
Gotta tell you, Lester, I'm not very worried, but I would like to know where it is you seem to suggest we're going.
"Why, sir, don't you remember? We've been invited to dinner."
Where?
"Drink up."
There's an unsettled look on his face, but he's gonna go ahead and drink the rest of his drink.
You drink it. As you're drinking, you feel one of the ice cubes just slip between your lips and into your mouth, but you try to instinctually crunch it, but it doesn't crunch, and it's actually harder than you were expecting, and you pause. The shape
Wanna
of this
spit it
ice
out?
cube you spit out a tooth onto the counter, and you look inside your drink glass, and all of the ice cubes are just teeth that are floating in the drink.
Right. And he's not gonna react
Mhm.
too harshly. He's just gonna put the drink down.
Mm-hmm.
So Lester, when exactly are we meant to go to dinner?
Oh, quite soon. Don't worry, we will never be late. By the way, are you ready?
I don't think I am.
Most aren't. This is going to hurt like hell. He lunges over the counter and grabs you by the face and, like, opens his mouth. You watch as it disjoints, and, like, a long, like, slithering tongue, like, emerges, and then, whoosh, like, whips and stabs itself towards your eyeball. You feel a tremendous headache, and you wake back up in the police department. This is when you woke back up. And now we fast forward back to the moment when you are here sitting in the waiting room, reflecting on this moment, and then Joanna Daisy comes back in. You pulled your gun out, you pointed it at her. She came inside, and she revealed that she might know more than she had previously let on, as she turned and said to Sunil. She said, "My grandfather, Bill, he told me about a dream he had. And in this dream, he said he met a young scholar unable to recall the days past. And then she, like, segues into saying, there was a question from my grandfather's dream that he told me to tell the dreamer. 410. What did the backwards man say on the phone?"
Sunil is slightly taken aback, because he clearly recognizes, okay, that's too specific to be not real, and he I don't know how to understand it.
Could you try? Or do you not remember?
See, okay. I'm going to say a thing,
Mm-hmm.
really, not to destroy the tension here.
Oh,
I
no.
meant to go back and listen.
Oh, you're
to
totally fine.
What you...
You're totally fine. And also, I'm actually not going to have this be said out loud because it's the trivia question. So instead, what she does is she, like, rifles through her bag and says, "Hold on. Sometimes the mind has trouble enunciating its contents, but perhaps you might be able to write it." And she, like, passes like a slip of paper from her purse to you and a small ink pen. Do you think you could write out what you think you heard?
Yes, I think I can. And he, like, scribbles down to the best of his knowledge.
Yeah, you write it down. What it sounded like, exactly. What it sounded like to you. And she, like, looks at it. She closes her eyes, she takes a deep breath, and she says... She begins mouthing what you wrote down, like, kind of like to herself quietly. And then she takes a deep breath, and her voice... She is making a natural sound. There is no question that what she is doing is the way that the voice should sound. However, it just sounds weird the way she's speaking. She says, "Jackson Elias is in danger." Does that mean anything to you?
Yes, it does. We had a friend that with with Sal, with the other man that we came in. We had a friend. His name was Jackson Elias. Uh, that that sounds like the first two words, and is in danger. Oh, oh no. It's there's a lot happening right now.
I
He's a friend of ours that's missing.
that is, and I
Spanish
assume
fuck took him.
I assume from my grandfather's dream, what he said about you. You don't remember what happened to your friend, do you?
No, I don't remember the past week.
If it's not entirely out of place for me to say, I think you need to visit my grandfather. He might be able to help you.
Where is he?
He spends most of his time at Pecos. It is a place where the ancient enemies once stood by a door to the underworld. It's not far from here.
Does she have an ulterior motive going on?
Make a psychology
Okay.
check. Hey, you were on that shit. I love it. The if she has an ulterior motive here, the ulterior motive is simply a desire to get to the bottom of what this might mean for her, both literally and spiritually.
So it's kind of like on like a personal level of things rather than benevolent.
Exactly. It's more like she has a personal investment of getting to the bottom of what this means, because this is kind of strange. But she doesn't also seem entirely put off by how strange this is.
Did you just say a door to the underworld?
According to legends, the old pueblo in Pecos was reported to, in ancient times, well, my grandfather knows a great more deal about the lore of the region. It's not a Navajo site, it is, it's an Anasazi site, an old Puebloan place. It is, abandoned. My grandfather spends a great deal of time there. He knows more. I'm sure that if you had questions, he might be able to answer them better than I can. I am a hotel concierge.
So where's your grandfather then?
Pecos. It's a 30-minute drive from here.
Okay.
Point us in the right direction. Come with us if you want.
I will. I can guide you there. I brought my car. I could drive. I could lead. Where are the rest of your friends?
I
Oh
think
right.
Kit's still.
Yeah,
I'm
Kit's
still
helping the
there.
sheriff bury the burned body.
I'll go get him.
Cool. Well, James jogs off in the back to go find Split, leaving the rest of you here in the waiting room with with Joanna.
Fine, Split.
James
Yeah.
goes off to find Split.
Oh fuck!
And
Sorry.
then Split was
Like,
hanging
Kit.
with
Kit.
Where
Is
the
he-
fuck am I?
Where am I? God damn it! Sorry. I was doing.
I'm
so
in a
well.
pocket.
I was
This
meant to
man
say
with
Kit.
strange clothes and
Wrong
his
dimension. Fuck.
his Rio hoodie.
Moving on. So, yeah, leaving the rest of you in the waiting room with Joanna Daisy, who kind of just stands there a little awkwardly. She seems like she can pick up on the fact that she's walked into something, considering she had a gun pointed at her a moment ago. And there's a tension in the air that she's trying not to let touch upon a little too much.
Sunil, like I don't know how to verbalize this, so he doesn't, but he's just like, oh no, it's okay. Like you were probably the most relieving thing that we have seen in the past. Like, because him, this is like a light relief to get some sort of like direction to go in. He's just trying to make her feel like as best as he can, given the fact that several people are dead in the back room.
By the way, apologize, I misspoke. She said it was 30 minutes. No, sorry, it's 30 miles out of. So it takes like an hour and a half to get there. But she's willing to lead you guys there. I know it's far away. But yeah. So back outside, Kit, sweat freshly on your brow as you and Sheriff Shoemaker finish burying this thing out in the desert behind the police department. The back door opens up and you can see kind of backlit against the interior. James O'Connell like scans the horizon and starts to jog in your direction.
Hey,
I hope it's good news.
it's news. We're gonna head to Pecos. Someone
Pecos?
there might have
The sheriff says, Pecos, the side of the old Sequoia Pueblo?
Yeah, that. Hard to explain. Lady just showed up, gave us some pretty fucking cryptic information, said to go find her grandfather. They are there. Jackson's in danger, she said.
Oh. At the mention of Jackson, Kit is committed, even if it sounds a little
Right.
odd. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Sheriff, you coming with us?
To Pecos? All things considered, I think I need to attend to my own deputies and wrap up the site here, but I'll happily show you out.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, you guys walk back inside, back into the lobby. Kit, you see Joanna Daisy, the concierge from the Hotel de Vargas again. She kind of just like meekly waves a little bit. Sheriff Shoemaker kind of comes to all of you and she says, "Do you folks plan to come back?"
Well, we have to come back to the bank at least, right?
Yeah, there's that.
Hopefully.
Well, if I don't see you again personally, I don't know what the hell happened, but I'm at least thankful nonetheless that you were here to at least assist. He just offers a handshake to each and every one of you. I think we should be in the clear going forward, but if anything ever crops up again, I at least know a few faces I might be able to call for assistance.
Yeah.
Thank you. Sheriff.
Actually, idle question, but
Yeah.
You and your deputies wouldn't have happened to pick up a rifle by any chance following the shootout?
Following the shootout? No. The only weapons that were left behind were the ones that were dropped by the ones that you all killed. But you, if I remember from what I heard, you were the one firing off shots with a 30-06.
Kit very slowly and slightly uncomfortably nods.
I take it that you served?
Yes,
Well,
sir.
Thank you for your service. No, none of us found a 30-06 rifle. From what I heard of witnesses we questioned, it got to the point where you were taking shots out of a car window with that thing. Nobody saw you drop it.
Thank you. Thank you, Sheriff. It's missing, so
It was a really, really nice car.
What kind of car?
I didn't catch the model, but top of the line.
Huh.
Expensive. Very shiny. Look new. White. Pearl white. Black trim.
Good to know.
Yeah.
Keep that in mind.
Solid thing.
Interesting.
Thank you for your hospitality, Sheriff.
Thank you.
Of course, shakes your hands again. Like I said, pop in. Need my help? Let me know. You folks get on well now. Hopefully you can sleep easy and forget about this at all.
Do our best.
Joanna, Daisy says, "So, shall I drive you out there?"
Is your
Yeah.
grandfather gonna be okay with us showing up in the middle of the night?
My grandfather is a lot of things.
Okay.
He might be expecting you, oddly enough.
Awesome! That sounds interesting as hell. Let's go.
Okay. She like nods, a little put off, but says okay. Walks out to her car. En route out into the parking lot. The sheriff says, "Wait." Tosses you a set of keys, James, and says, "I don't think there's enough room in that woman's car to fit the both of you. Take mine. Bring it back bring it back after you pass by the bank."
Mighty generous of you, sir.
It's the least I can do.
Thank you very much.
Yep.
I'll get back to you soon.
And,
I'm scratch on it.
If it's all the same to you folks, I'll take some of the arrest records and just put them in a burn pit, just so y'all don't have to have this little mishap on your records.
Can you set aside my mugshot? I would like to keep it.
They haven't actually actually finished processing it yet, but
Great. Well, please
sure.
keep it because I would like to keep it. Thank you so much.
You know what? I'll take that one too.
I think we all want our pictures.
Oh my god.
You
I had a really
are-
nice pose.
Scrapbook or something.
Oh my god, that's a great idea. Thank you so much, Kit.
you-
Let's go solve this mystery.
You are an odd bunch. And the sheriff goes back into the police department. Yeah, you guys all hop in a car and begin to follow.
I'll actually request something specifically.
Yeah.
As they're all loading up into vehicles, James is gonna ask Kit to get in his.
Sure. Yeah, Kit'll hop in the passenger seat of the car James is driving then.
And along the way, as they're going, I don't know if anybody else is in this car with him, but
Joanna's car can fit 4. So Joanna, Sunil.
yeah, so that's
that works. That
everyone
works.
except
So
for James and Kit.
yeah, so James and Kit can take the sheriff's car.
So along the way, James is just gonna ask, like, very low, very serious. So all that bullshit about vampires, huh?
It would be hard for James to see Kit's expression because the expressive. It's dark and Kit's trying to keep his face straight.
James's
Yeah.
eyes is on the road.
Kit nods. And they weren't kidding. We weren't kidding. I wish we were.
Right. I had a dream. I had another one.
Yeah.
That fucking. The other two, they mentioned this fucking Lester guy. Well, there was a Lester in my fucking dream too. While I was out. Sorry about that, by the way. I
No,
thought you
it's
did it like that.
it's not something you can predict. You know that.
Yeah. I trust you, Kit. I trust you a lot. Same experiences, same horrors.
Yeah.
In that dream, motherfucker said we were invited to dinner and that we'd be going real soon. We'd be going home real soon.
Home.
Home. Didn't tell me where. Just said we'd be going real soon. And I figure it'd be important, considering I'm not the only one who's seen it.
Yeah.
And yeah. After that, said it hurt like hell and asked if I was ready, and he grabbed me by my face and some real fucked up shit's going on, kid.
Kit nods. Yeah. Yeah, it is. Hopefully we can leave this stuff behind. Hopefully this can be something that can stay in the past. Are
Yeah.
you, dreams aside, that thing aside, are you all right? Will you be able to?
I'll be fine. I've survived worse.
Yeah. Just gotta do the field check.
Well, you're a medic, that's what you do.
Exactly. Can't have any of my men shell shocked. Thank you for telling me.
Figured you should know.
The dark of the desert stretches out, seemingly infinitely beyond you, lit only by the faint rays of light from the headlights of cars and the distant pinpoints of whatever scant electricity exists out here in the desert in settlements such as Santa Fe, Albuquerque, even Madrid. In the other car, with the rest of the group, any conversation going on there, or is it a quiet ride?
God,
Joanna Daisy,
Yes?
before we get to, I'm going to ask him more questions, obviously, but just a little bit of a prepper. Did he tell you anything else?
No. Well, he mentioned to me before that you had made an impression on him. He felt like he needed to help you, but you were gone before he could do anything. I don't know a lot about what my grandfather does, but I believe him from the little things he tells me. Or at the very least, I believe that he is helping people in his own spiritual way. Just, a little different from the stories I grew up hearing. But, he didn't mention anything else. Just mentioned that if I found this man, I should tell him, I should ask him, and bring him to salvation.
Okay. Thank you very much, Joanna.
Of course. I'm a concierge. Hospitality is my business. The cars drive off down the road until eventually, after an hour and a half of darkness out here in the wild desert bordering rocky outcroppings and small mountains, there is a cluster of trees, a deserted forest. And the headlights at the front of this little train briefly illuminate, standing out on an outcropping ahead, an old, dilapidated mud brick Spanish missionary. A Pueblo structure as well, the site of old Puebloan culture. She drives up the road a little bit, but then stops. It's a dirt road, dirt path more like it. Stops, turns the engine off, looks up at the structure in the star-filled sky in the hazy moonlight. She says to the three in her car, "Oh, well, here we are." You can all see that up in the missionary structure itself, there is a faint flickering dull orange, like that of a small campfire that is crackling out into the night, and the faint wisp of smoke that just trails off into the void. Everyone gets out of their cars. Well, this way, I suppose.
it'd be impolite to keep him waiting, right?
Yes. She walks you guys up a dirt road, a dirt little path that winds up to this outcropping into the ruins of this old Spanish missionary. And up there, kind of sheltered from the elements, open to the sky though, there is a little camp-like setup here. Not a tent per se. There is a small campfire that's been surrounded by, stones, make a little pit. Crackles. There's a little metal tripod that's been set up over the campfire where a metal pot and kettle kind of setup hangs. There are 5 blankets that are laid out in a somewhat circular pattern around the fire. And sitting nearby the flickering lights of the flame, his face reflected in the light, you see a very elderly native man. Not shirtless, but Sunil, you recognize this.
Do I recognize?
Yeah. You recognize this as the native man you saw in your first dream. But he's not shirtless and wearing hide pants. He's actually wearing a very simple, just kind of albeit dusty, cloth shirt and small rancher's vest over top. His hair is still very dark, but there are long streaks of peppery gray that run throughout it. And he has a small necklace of beads. He keeps a feather tucked behind one ear. And he seems to be working with small wooden bowls of various herbs or ingredients. And he's just humming and intoning very lightly. He does not turn to look at you, but as you guys are kind of like walking up, he does stop humming, rubs his hands kind of near the fire for warmth, and he says, "I was beginning to wonder when you would arrive. Welcome, please. Seat. Be well." Joanna Daisy kind of stands towards the back. She says, "Grandfather?" He now actually looks over, regards Joanna and smiles, and says, "It is all right. I will take it from here, my dear. Please just do not worry." And Joanna kind of goes, "Of course, grandfather." She kind of like steps back off into the darkness. Not gone, just moving away. And then there's a silence until Bill says, "This Anasazi site," gesturing around him at the Pueblo. "It was once inhabited by Puebloans. It long abandoned their missionary and their land, attacked by invading Comanche marauders. They've moved, well, west of here, and their descendants continue to live, but this is a place of great power, and, well, I have reason to believe," he looks directly at you, Sunil, "that something troubles you greatly."
Well, it troubles me that I recognize you.
And I recognize you.
And it troubles me that from the message I heard in the dream that apparently both of us were having, my friend is in danger.
Yes, you spoke on the phone. The backwards man. Your friend, I believe, is in danger. But I know very little of those specific details. What you must all be concerned about in the moment primarily, each and every one of you are being haunted. There is an evil spirit upon you, though not one known to the Navajo or any other tribe, as a matter of fact. Your dreams are inhabited by a malign, hungering intelligence. I can see it on you, though you may not be able to see it yourself. Only in dreams can you unbind yourself from its influence, lest it will bring great harm to you and lasting misery.
You mean that
Lester Goodman.
trouble?
It has a name. It's Lester.
It wears the face of a man, but is not one.
You said only in the dreams we can disconnect it. How do we do that?
Do you know why I spend so much time up here in the Pueblo area?
I don't even know yet.
It is a place where great powers of the mind stir. There is, according to legends, and what others have said, a gateway to a place of great evil nearby. Some would say a door to the underworld. I myself do not maintain that belief, but all the same, I believe in its power.
What do you think it is?
I think it is unquestionably evil, but that is why I am here. I consider myself one who walks between the places of sleep and wakefulness. I find it empowering to guard sleepers of this region against the evil forces that seep through the cracks of this place beneath. I've never stepped beyond the gates of deeper slumber, so I've not been to the realms beyond. I simply walk between. But I have foreseen your arrival in those dreams. I have prepared a ceremony, or perhaps procedure is a more apt term for it, to help you, should you accept my offer.
What would be involved in such a procedure?
He gestures towards the 5 blanketed mats on the ground. You are to sleep here, beneath the stars, at the Pueblo. When you fall asleep, you are to seek out the descending stairs of the light slumber. From there, you will descend 70 steps into the earth and confer with the entities in the cavern that exist between worlds. However, if you descend these stairs and see more than 70 steps, you are to turn around and run back to the surface as quickly as possible without looking back. Only after conferring with these entities will they reveal the path before you. I have prepared some things to protect you. He has been this entire time throwing in bits of these ingredients from his wooden bowls into the metal kettle that's boiling over over the fire. And he takes a cloth and wraps it around the lid, the handle to lift it off of its tripod, and pours this boiling, slightly off-colored water into 5 wooden cups. This is simply to, it is ceremonial, just to help protect you. It is wild tea, juniper berries, pinion buds, cornmeal. I've also sprinkled some cat's foot in there. It is warm, it is comforting, and it might help you sleep, but it has deeper meaning. If you would like my aid. This is, while you are sleeping, I will do my best to fold the matter of your dream to allow you easier access to the places beneath. I understand that this might be a lot to take in or understand, but this is what has been seen to me in my dreams, and I wish to help you, at the very least, unbind you from that which is not a man but wears the face of one.
And are you looking for something in return?
No.
For helping us?
It is my duty to protect the people of this region against the evil forces that slip through the cracks. I do not take kindly to innocent lives being meddled with by alien forces. So please, think not of this as something I need compensation for, but only something I wish to help you with. It will be perilous and bad, but it is better than the alternative. And if you cannot remember your pasts, there is a great deal of memory that can be found in deeper dreaming. Perhaps you will find what you have forgotten in those caverns.
I'll take the tea.
I'll do it. Sounds interesting.
Absolutely.
Mason, Sunil.
Well, he takes the tea.
Jordan stepped away for a moment, but I assume he's going along with everything. So you all take the cups, like the warm wooden cups of this freshly steeped ceremonial tea. You all sip it. It's faintly bitter, but there is it's very herbal tasting. There is a underlying sweetness to it that's not entirely unpleasant. So it goes down. It feels nice and warm in the stomach, especially in the kind of encroaching cold of the desert. And as you're drinking, he says, "Please, I have laid out these mats for you. Get comfortable and lie under the stars and sleep."
Thank you.
Everyone individually lies down on the mats, and despite the events of the day, you all actually find it remarkably easy to sleep. There is a interesting comfort and peace in the presence of this man. And you're not sure if the tea had any properties that relax you, but you all find it actually very easy to sleep. Give me 1 second. All right, I am going to roll a d5 because I can do that in Roll20. And we're gonna go through these dreams one by one.
Oh boy, what a fun time!
Let's see what we
Yay!
get. 1. So we're gonna start with James. So James, I will actually ask you, what is actually a normal dream for James?
Oh.
Mm-hmm. Like, it doesn't, not even necessarily a reoccurring dream. Just like when he falls asleep at night, what is
Good or
not
bad?
unusual? Either way. Yeah, I'll let you choose.
A normal.
Yeah, it could be nice, it could be bad. I'll let you be the arbiter of that decision in the story. It is a normal, albeit deeply vivid dream. So, go ahead. I will allow you to choose.
He would either find himself in the European countryside
Mm-hmm.
or in the trenches.
Yeah.
Either utterly alone or surrounded by faces he wouldn't be able to even recognize.
Mm-hmm.
The sounds of screaming, the explosives, the whizzing of planes crashing overhead, the churning of tanks rolling through,
Mm-hmm.
and the never-ending, constant barrage of gunfire.
An unending hail of metal and death that surrounds you with cacophonous thunder on the battlefields of Europe. You are in the trenches, surrounded by faceless soldiers, in that faces that you cannot make out in the dreaming, weapons in hand, shouting, barking orders, whining out in the background that are suddenly cut off and silenced by German artillery and gunfire. You find yourself leaning over the trench at one point, taking shots at soldiers from afar on the battlefields, and a shell, boom, whizzes through the air and goes off not too far from where you are. Dirt and shrapnel scatters across your face. Some of it goes into your mouth. You cough and you sputter, and your ears ring with impact. But in this kind of like daze, this battle goes on, but you're not sure how long you've been fighting. You've had this dream plenty of times in its own different forms. But there's a not a quietness in the trenches, but a kind of silence beneath the noise of all things that you pick up on. And the silence is coming from a direction, and you just kind of idly look over one shoulder, and built there into the trench, there is a little carved offshoot, typically used little, dugout below the trenches that are used for officer quarters. However, what catches your eye about this a tunnel is it's a very large tunnel, and beyond that is a huge, highly ornate, almost Baroque marble staircase, spotless, untouched by war and nature, that just descends into the earth.
He's bolt action in hand, seeing that versus everything else, he's going to just bolt.
You bolt for it. You see the stairs go down, and you go down.
Yeah.
You descend down the stairs. All right, I'm going to roll another die to see who our next dreamer is going to be. This time, let's roll a d4. That is a 3. So, Sybil. What is a normal, average dream for Sybil to have?
She dreams about the mansion in Maine a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes there's a party, and if it's a party, it's a bunch of faces that she doesn't recognize anymore. Sometimes it's just her and her parents. Sometimes it's just empty. And either way, it's like she knows it's the mansion because she's been there so many times, but she also hasn't been there in so long. It's that thing where it's like you're in a memory, and every time you bring back the memory, it's more like you're remembering the thing you told yourself. You're not remembering what it actually was.
Yeah, totally.
Like, she knows this isn't the place, but it is at the same time. There's always this faint smell of just smoke on the air. Always,
absolutely,
all the time.
Absolutely. And what usually happens in these dreams of her old mansion and her old life?
She might talk to people, but usually no one's listening to her.
Mm-hmm.
She
Okay.
try to tell stories and no one's paying attention. It's just like she's there, but she's not. Nothing's connecting.
Your mother is there. Let me ask you this though. Has it been so long for Sybil that she can no longer remember the face of her mother?
She doesn't remember what her parents. Like, she has pictures, but like it's like, you know, when you look at a picture of someone you haven't seen.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, you recognize the picture.
So when in their dream you see their faces, but you also don't see their faces. It's almost like the lens has been smudged with something, so it's just a haze. You're sure your mother's saying, yes. Yes, of course, Sybil, of course. That's so very interesting. Sybil, would you please mind grabbing the bottles of wine from the cellar? We do have guests coming. The Duke of Edinburgh is going to be here.
Of course, Mother. Okay. Yeah. She, like, adjusts her hair and fixes everything and adjusts her dress and walks toward the cellar. Away from the party.
Yeah. The party in the distance, the din of conversation, voices that you truly could not make out in this dream. It is a vivid dream. You walk down into the old cellar, the wine cellar. You grab various bottles off of the shelves. A little rat like scurries by on the floor. Harmless. Cute. Yeah, you find them kind of cute. They're not really that harmful down here. Scurries off, and you watch it like scuttles off down. It scuttles into a slightly ajar, like little like a door, like not like a full on door, more of like one of those like storage, like small square doors you would find in cellars. Scuttles in that, and you actually don't remember seeing that door. You walk over to it, and when you kind of like creak it open and look beyond it, you can see that beyond that there is this grand Baroque marble staircase that stretches down into the depths of the earth before you.
Sybil looks back at the party for a moment. Then she shrugs, sets the bottles she was carrying down, and then heads down the stairs.
Let's see who our next dreamer is going to be, ladies and gentlemen. Roll D3. Mason, what is a normal, not out of the ordinary dream Mason might have in his sleep? Good or bad, up to you.
Depending on what he had the night before, It's generally the same setting, but
Mhm.
depending on what he had, you know, the night before, kind of defines whether or not this would be bad.
Okay.
More often than not, when he does dream, it's with his work, with
Okay.
his job. What happens? Some dreams, you know, he will fade in, you know, at the beginning talking to a client. Sometimes it's talking to a client before, sometimes it's during, sometimes it's after. What happens, it's after, but very recently after. It's person is passed out on the bed. He can't really tell whether or not that's a guy or a girl, just knowing that they are smaller than him.
Mm-hmm.
But they are asleep, as you know, they always are for the night.
Right.
And he's just kind of sitting, buttoning up his shirt again, ready to take the little tag off the door before, you know, he kind of leaves and turns in. He'll drop the cash at the front desk. He'll head into the other room, where, you know, he kind of goes to bed.
Mm-hmm.
'Cause he does live there. He lives
Yeah.
there.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is just, and that's just it. That's the dream. Like, what happens in this dream usually, or?
It's hard to tell.
Okay.
There have been some nights where he's run into other people that are maybe just a little too grabby, or maybe he runs into Aphrodite. He's not entirely sure what he did, but he must have pissed her off in some way. Or he doesn't really stumble into anyone, and he goes and walks down a hallway for a while. It seems like this time though, it just seems really normal. Almost a little too normal for it to seem like a dream. Because there's always something weird that happens with a dream, but it's normal.
Well,
it's his routine.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, there are always the small, odd little details of dreams that you never recognize as weird until you've woken up and think back on the dream. You know, some things like, oh, the floating chandelier that's unattached to anything, that makes sense in the dream, you know? The pictures that all depict various shades of waterfowl in like different colors, you know? That's normal even if I've never seen that before. It's the little details in dreams. But there's one detail where you're walking down this hallway, this very long hallway you spoke of. And usually the hallway never ends for you. You know, maybe it'll come to a bend, it'll come to another room. At some point you get out of the hallway, this long place, and there's another aspect of the dream you're moving into. This time the hallway ends at a grand, completely out of place with everything else around you, marble staircase, like something right out of a fairy tale that descends below you.
Mason kind of leans forward, looks down. Does it descend into darkness?
It does descend into darkness.
Okay. I mean, Mason takes his lighter, lights it up, and with every step that he goes down, he starts to count. 1.
All right.
2.
2, 3, 4. And you count eventually to 70 exactly before the steps give way. And we're going to cut away from that dream. I'm going to make the executive decision that we're going to focus on Sunil next, and then we'll get to Kit last. So Sunil, I will now ask you, what is a normal, ordinary dream for Sunil to have?
Sunil typically is kind of a wild dream, but one that he tends to come back to is he's just he's at home, like home, not LA, not New York, not in America at all. He's in Cambridge, and well, he's in Britain somewhere.
Yeah.
With and he's in his home at his balcony. his mother's in the back doing as she does. And he tries to take in the sights. He misses the entire like landscape in front of him. He looks on it longingly. He is pretty sure that he keeps a schedule even in his dreams. He's like, yeah, in about an hour we're gonna go to Boswell's and we're gonna have fun at Boswell because I love going to the store with my family. And then he eventually like walks back into his room, surveys his room, his childhood room. It still has the things hanging on the wall.
Yeah.
And he eventually goes to greet his mother. He hasn't seen her in a long time. He remembers her like he it depends on what night it is, whether or not he's dreaming of the soft woman from before when he was like a kid, or the hardened woman when he became more into his own as a man, into his teen. And there's another room that he just doesn't feel like he has the strength to go into. He knows what's behind that door, and he doesn't want to see it right now.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The occasional cough echoes out from behind that door. And what is the natural course of the dream from there eventually, before Sunil would normally wake up?
The natural course of the dream is that he would conversate. He'd
Yeah.
eventually he would conversate. He'd sit down. They'd take breakfast together like they used to. This is his house. He helps take up the house. It's a very simple.
There is a moment when you are seated at the table with your mother Manisha, eating breakfast. Does Sunil drink coffee?
Not often.
Not often. Okay. Well, enjoying a very lovely aromatic breakfast with your mother, and in between bites, mouthfuls of food, you glance over to your side, and just sitting in the middle of the kitchen, right there, completely out of place with everything else, there is suddenly a staircase that descends into the earth.
Sunil, he looks to his mother.
She does not notice.
Yeah, he looks to her, and he's like, okay, I've had my moment. And he gets up and he goes to the stairs and he takes a deep breath. And similar to he's like, okay, let's keep on top of the numbers, all right? And then he looks at the door where the coughing was coming from. He makes like a hand gesture similar to a cross, and then he starts to walk down while counting.
Excellent. And you walk down the steps into the unknown. So, let's now address Kit. Let's go over to you. I'm not going to ask you what a normal dream for Kit is, because this will not be a normal dream for Kit. This is something long overdue. So, Kit, you find yourself in a courtyard, or more apt, a town square, more like it. Well, this is an old French town. It is not shelled. This is before the war, maybe, or maybe it's been repaired since then. There's a fountain in the center, No one's around. It seems, you think it's dark. And there's no lights around you save for a single, faintly sputtering electric lantern, out of place with the rustic aesthetic of this village, that flickers overhead a shop window. And there's a little sign over a door that just says Goodman Booksellers. In the darkness of this French village, you feel drawn to this one place of light and seemingly business, and indeed, before you even put the conscious thought towards it, you find yourself moving. And you are aware that you are dreaming. You are aware that this is not real. You are aware this is not a normal dream. And you can see in the window, there is a sign that's hung up. Even though it's an ungodly hour out, you assume, darker than dark, a pitch black night, truly. The sign in the shop window says open.
I will gently open the door and step inside.
It is a long shop. In that I mean it is a very narrow, rectangular stretch with crowded bookshelves and small little ladders and a single counter off to one side. Piles of dusty old books. That old paper smell, that underlying scent of dust. Drier than dry. This place, if it went up in fire. And you find it kind of fucked up for a moment. That your first thought when stepping into this place is how easy this place would go up in flames from just a few rounds, a flamethrower. This place would be an inferno in seconds.
A death trap in seconds.
Exactly. There is a small service bell on the counter. No one's behind it, but a little light, candlelight, flickers overhead.
I will approach the counter, take my time, sort of glance at the spines of the books.
The letters are muddled in your vision, like you can't truly read them.
Yeah. Eventually, I make my way to the counter, and seeing as there's nobody nearby, it really just makes the most sense to tap the bell.
Ding! It rings out so loud and discordantly against the ambient nature of everything. And it echoes out, and there is a stillness that follows. And then you hear a deep, groaning creak of wood, like some great, ancient, unmoving beast stirring from an eternal slumber, as its bones and cartilage realign themselves. But it is just the sound of a door opening in the back, at the far end of the shop. You can see backlit, in whatever light of the back room, there is a svelte, tall, handsome figure that cuts its way through the doorframe, and then kind of slowly steps into the light, grinning, hungry, predatory, feigned hospitality. This is the face of an enemy. Just says, "Welcome!"
Oh, I'm glad you speak English.
Yes, I do. Hard to come by in these times, isn't it?
It really is.
What can I help you with, sir?
Do you happen to have today's paper?
Well, we've been a little behind on the papers lately, but I'm happy to share with you any news that may have passed through these parts.
Sure. Just general news, what's happened in the past, few days. What day is it?
Haven't you heard? Everything's fine. Everything is going to be perfectly fine. It's today, after all.
You're right. It's good to hear. I'm not sure why I thought it wouldn't be.
Of course. Shall I interest you in some books?
What do you, recommend?
He, suddenly, in a swift movement, points a finger at you in a rapid, sinewy, spider-like crack of movement as his bones move unnaturally for a moment. He says, "You strike me as a kind of fellow who enjoys poetry."
I dabbled when I was younger.
Right this way, sir. Turns and walks behind the counter and begins to, thumb through books with, rapid accuracy. And then stops suddenly on one and goes, "Ah, there we are." Pulls one off with a popping, sinuous movement. Spins around and looks at you. It's like spins around a little too fast in that it causes the figure to like stumble and jolt, like a puppet moving on unfamiliar strings. And poof, slams the book on the counter. A cloud of dust comes up. He taps the cover 3 times while smiling. Your eyeline draws down to it. You can see that the lettering actually solidifies and comes into view. It reads, "The complete works of Percy Bysshe Shelley."
Percy Bysshe Shelley, can't say that I'm familiar. You got a favorite?
I do, in fact, sir. Would you like me to show you?
Sure. And Kit sort of like slides the book over closer towards him.
He flips open the book and rifles through the pages for you with such wild, chaotic abandon that you almost for a second feel like he could rip these pages out with every movement, but he just flutters through it until he points to one, sudden stop, and goes, "Here we are." He's pointing at a poem. The poem is titled Ozymandias.
Ozymandias. Thank you, sir. How much would I owe you?
Don't worry, it's on the house. After all, you're invited to dinner anyway. You are our guest. I'd hate to put that upon you.
I'm your guest.
Our guest. But
Well-
yes, my guest.
Kit is sort of a little. It's like it's the feeling of going up the steps, but taking an extra step.
Mm-hmm.
And you manage to catch yourself in time, but it's that split second of being knocked off balance. That's how Kit feels. And Kit slowly takes the book and scans the lines of the poem, and then looks back up at this man.
I hope you enjoy it. I consider myself a fine purveyor of many different types of books.
I can tell you have a lovely, lovely establishment.
Thank you.
You know,
He's just staring daggers at you.
It would be a shame if... No. Can't remember what I was going to say. Funny how that goes.
Quite so. Well, I hate to put this upon you, sir, but unfortunately, we haven't coordinated our arrival all too well. Your other friends are showing up perfectly on time and well prepared. I am in need of a ride. Haven't quite gotten the chance to be inside you yet, so just don't worry, and this will be all over in an instant. He leans over the counter and forcibly grabs you by the mouth and pulls your jaw open and begins to push himself inside your mouth. And you feel the mass and bulk of this whole human being slither and contort its bones and crack its way down your gullet into your stomach. You feel the weight and the disgust, and you stumble back against the bookshelf. Everything around you flickers and goes dark, and you are sitting in a black pitch void of nothingness. And you hear this voice whisper in your ear, "That's right, sir. Now, let's make the rest of the journey together." And you watch as the darkness gives way, and a staircase leading down Baroque marble appears before you.
I dry heave. I can't seem to get the feeling that it doesn't, nothing works. It's in there. It's kind of, it almost feels like it always has been, in a way. Like there's always been something like this living here. And I turn to the staircase and I look down into the depths. 1, 2, 3.
And as you count down each individual steps, you disappear into the darkness below to whatever waits beyond the light border of sleep. And we're going to go to a quick break. So, don't go anywhere. We will be right back.
The Enemies Ozymandias by Percy Bysshe Shelley. I met a traveler from an antique land who said, 2 vast and trunkless legs of stone stand in the desert. Near them, on the sand, half sunk a shattered visage lies, whose frown and wrinkled lip and sneer of cold command tell that its sculptor well those passions read which yet survive, stamped on these lifeless things, the hand that mocked them, and the heart that fed, and on the pedestal these words appear. My name is Ozymandias, King of Kings. Look on my works, ye mighty, and despair. Nothing beside remains. Round the decay of that colossal wreck, boundless and bare, the lone and level sands stretch far away.
And we are back. So, with the 5 of you having found the 70 stairs of deeper slumber, or I should say of light slumber, my bad. I'm going to roll another die. This is DM roll. Sorry, this is keeper roll night, in that the keeper's just rolling everything, and that's okay sometimes. So this is another D5. I'm gonna do this for everybody. I just want to pick who goes first randomly.
I rolled a psychology check.
You succeeded! It's a 4. So, that's gonna be Sybil. We're gonna start with Sybil. Sybil, when you get to the bottom of these exact 70 steps, they end in a natural tunnel, like a carved from like an underground cave, but it's not dark, dank, and dreary. It has a very light, sandy floor. There's a slightly pleasant, warm breeze that flows out. Kind of like look behind you. The stairs are gone. There's just a flush cave wall. You find yourself standing here, completely naked and alone. And you can hear the faint crackle and roar of what sounds like a flame.
Well, I guess I start walking.
You step into what is a large natural cavern, where in the center of it is a large pillar of flame. Floor to ceiling, its colors scintillating, varying from red to orange to purple. You can feel its heat against your flesh, but it's not oppressive. Inside this chamber are two tall, bearded men in robes and wearing what look like Egyptian crowns. They look both young and old at the same time. Wise, strong, and sagely. And as you kind of like step around the corner, they both turn and look at you, and one of them says, "Enter and be welcome. I am Nasht." And the one next to him says, "I am Kamen Tha. We congratulate you, Sybil Cordova, on finding the way. Step inside, please."
Thank you. And Sybil goes in.
You are followed by something not of nice disposition. And both of these robed, Shent-bearing priests like step toward you in unison. And they say, "You are welcome here, but first we will need to gauge your capacity." And they just look at you. But it is a look of someone staring so deeply into your soul. It is a profoundly, not violating experience, but there's a kind of power in these two looking upon you. And you don't feel, exposed. Even though you are physically exposed, you don't feel uncomfortable in here. Nothing about this feels wrong. They stare into you and they both nod. "You are meant for the dreaming, and we would be happy to equip you and guide you. However, it strikes us that you are not here to enter the land of dreams. You are here for some other purpose. One that is unnatural and stalking you." And Nasht reaches out and places a hand flush up against your stomach. And you look down and you actually watch as your stomach swells, almost as if you were grossly pregnant. And you can see something writhing underneath your skin, a misshapen hand that pushes against the flesh, and a yawning, inhuman face that pushes against your flesh and pushes outward and then recedes as the priest removes his hand. And your stomach goes flush again. And Nash says, "Worry not. He carries very little power in our domain. But we will help you. Please, step yourself into the side cavern. Find some clothes if you so desire, and we shall await for your friends to arrive."
Yeah, I'll do that. Okay. Okay, this is fine. Okay. I'm gonna go get a dress.
James, you also find yourself at the end of your dream stepping off into a cavern. Likewise, you are naked and you are alone. And as you enter the chamber again, you see these two robed, chant-bearing men who ritualistically recite, "Enter and be welcome. I am Nasht, and I am Kamantha. We congratulate you, James O'Connell, on finding the way."
Right. So this is where I'm supposed to be.
That is correct. But allow us first to gauge your capacity as a dreamer. They stare at you, and they look at each other, and they shake their heads and says, "The land of dreams is not meant for you. Under normal circumstances, we would exorcise you from this place and allow you to return. But circumstances are different. You are carrying with you a presence that does not belong with you." One of them reaches up and touches your temples, and you feel a tremendous headache, and you actually watch as sprouting from your head, I should say, is a grossly bruised, filth-spattered, misshapen, pale appendage that pulls out of your head and thrashes and flails around. But as soon as Nash, the priest, releases from your touching you, the hand slithers back into your head, and he says, "Worry not. He has no power here."
You can get rid of him.
"We cannot, but you can. Please, step into the side cavern, find your clothes, and you will find your friends waiting for you."
Okay. And he's gonna go get dressed.
The next to enter is Sunil. Same deal. You approach. They say, "Enter and be welcome. We congratulate you, Sunil Pandey, on finding the way. Unfortunately, you are not quite ready for the dreaming, but we are here to help you rid yourself of the passenger you carry." In this time, there is something, you feel like something sprouting from these little cilia hairs and tendrils that sprout out of your flesh and your arms. But as soon as the priest Nash stops touching you, he says, "Worry not. He has no power here. Please, await your friends and get dressed."
Sunil goes and gets dressed.
Mason, you're next. Of everyone here, you're the most accustomed to being naked in places you don't remember. Hands on his hips, just like it's just right there in the wind. Yeah, no. You see these two. You're muted, by the way.
Mason, looks at the two bearded men. Are they also naked?
No, they wear robes and have Egyptian crowns.
Damn. Okay. Yeah. Mason approaches with the confidence of a man who is used to being naked, straight Tarzan style. Gives a little wave.
Enter and be welcome. I am Nasht. I am Kamantha. We congratulate you, Mason Allen, on finding the way. We can tell immediately that you are not meant for the Dreaming Lands, but that is all right. We are here to aid you.
Aid me in getting there, or
Aid you in
What exactly?
removing with you the force that haunts you. Restore the memories you have had taken away from you. He puts two fingers on your forehead, and how do I describe this? It's horrifying. You're not going to lose any sanity damage from this, but it's horrifying. You don't lose your vision, but fingers begin pushing out of your eyes from inside your skull. And wrap around your eyelids. And when
Mason instinctually puts his hands up to separate himself from that.
As soon as you do, the fingers slurp back into your skull. Worry not, he cannot harm you here. He possesses no power that we do not allow him to have. Your
allow him
friends,
to have power?
if we so desire, he may have power in our domain. He has power elsewhere, but not in here. Please. Step into the cavern aside. Get dressed. Your friends are waiting for you. Once they are all here, we will explain your path.
Okay. And Mason does so.
Last to arrive is Kit. You are alone, naked, standing in this cavern of flame. Two mystical men regard you as you step inside. And so the last arrives. Enter and be welcome, Kit Sullivan. I am Nasht. I am Kamantha. We congratulate you on finding the way.
A pleasure.
They regard you, and they nod and says, "You are not meant for the lands of dream. But your friends are beset upon by an unnatural force that we shall assist you in the removal of." He just touches the base of your lip and just gently pulls your mouth open, and an entire arm slithers up your throat, and a hand, quaking, clawed, fetid and trembling, slithers out of your mouth and reaches for Nasht's face, who regards it blankly and with zero concern, and releases his touch, and the hand goes back down your gullet. He is fresh within you, but worry not, he has no power here.
All right.
Please. There are clothes that await you in the side chamber. Once you are dressed, you will find your friends. You will not be alone here, and we shall explain what shall happen next.
Thank you.
One by one, sure enough, everyone who goes into this backside cavern finds a table strewn with exactly the same clothes you were wearing when you went to sleep. And nothing more. No equipment, just that.
Are we finding each other in this room?
Not yet. It's you are all alone in this room. Once everyone is dressed, there is a curtain of silk that when you part through, there is a small lounging rest area, which is filled with a haze of some kind of incense smoke. One by one, interestingly enough, you all don't arrive and then have your other friends arrive. You all step through the curtain together at once in unison and find yourself together again in this place between dreams, I guess, standing around.
Well, hello, everyone.
Hi.
Was anybody else naked a couple of seconds ago?
Yeah, actually.
Cool, wasn't just me. Just making sure.
Sybil like waggles her eyebrows at James. What, did you think you missed something?
I'm sure I missed something. Damn.
Kit pinches his eyebrow. Well, I was going to ask, are you real? But no, that could only come from the genuine articles.
Look, we have to do something to keep the mood light.
Isn't this place amazing?
It's something.
Apparently, I'm not really allowed in, so.
Me neither.
I got a not quite.
I think they said.
I got a definitely not. Probably where I work.
I got an
Probably 'cause-
almost, I think. Not quite. Same as you, Sunil.
I think I got an I'm ready. I want to say I'm ready. But you know what? I'm more concerned about the other situation. Did you guys also have a weird thing inside you? Because I gotta say, I'm not having a great time with that.
Yeah, me neither.
There are fingers behind my eyes.
Oh.
Oh.
Mason says that very nonchalant, but like his face is very much like a man who has fingers behind his eyes. I can't really explain that
When
without.
Mason like says that so nonchalantly, James just like kind of whips over to look at it. Oh. Pats him on the shoulder.
He flinches. He flinches at someone patting him on the shoulder, because he's thinking about fingers behind his eyes. Now he's on
Yeah.
high alert.
He keeps his hand there just to kind of ground Mason a bit. Yeah, arm came out of my head.
Yeah, it was in
Yeah.
my stomach.
I met him for the first time before I came down the stairs. I think it was the same one. Didn't say his name, but what else could it have been?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you okay? Are you okay? You haven't wanted to check on you. You're just kind of staring.
No, just taking it all in, really. Mine was my arms, nothing as crazy as eyes behind head, fingers behind your eye. I'm so sorry, Mason.
So,
Fingers behind
Kit
my eyes.
just met him. We've all had a dream then. It came out of my stomach. Where did for you, Kit? Where was the thing?
Kit, like, considers Sybil and just... Let's just say he wore my skin like a suit.
That's
Okay.
disgusting.
Yeah.
So, Keeper, what is around this room again?
It is like a small like antique. This is like something straight out of like like the Thousand Tales, you know, of the, like Arabian Nights and all that.
Yeah.
It is, but it's like there are like these old lounging silk chairs and incense like that burns in pots that like hangs heavy around here. You know, and it seems to be a place of relaxation and lounging. And there are like clay urns full of water and wine that are out on display.
Mason takes a seat.
Yeah. Sybil's gonna go get some wine.
Let's get a drink. I like a drink.
Sit.
I hear
tight.
that.
Oh, Kit'll pull up some cushions for everyone for
like
sitting together.
The U.S. government can't clap us for drinking in prohibition if we are in a dreamscape.
Yeah. Fuck you,
Not
government.
to not to break the tension or anything, but there truly was resistance that I had to go through to like refrain from one of your dreams being like, ah, you're finally awake, I see. Just
Oh, I hate you.
Hey,
I
you!
hate
You're
you.
finally
I hate
awake.
like Todd Howard. Anyway, you did it again, Todd. You released the
How much
game in
did he pay you,
1921.
Tanner? How much did Todd pay you?
I got that good Bethesda money. So anyway, no. Once everyone's like seated and comfortable with their drink of choice, the curtains part and the two priests, Nasht and Common Thaw, enter, and they regard you with a sagely nod. And Nasht speaks, "Welcome, all of you. We should hope that you are comfortable.
Place is lovely.
We thank you. This is not a courtesy we give to non-dreamers, with the exception of yourself," gesturing at Sybil.
What?
What does that
exactly?
mean?
Yeah.
Many questions. There are lands that exist beyond your own. Lands of dream. Lands that are very real and can be traversed, but only to those whose soul is ready for such. Do not take offense to your soul not being fit for the dreamlands. It is not for everyone. Find comfort in the light dreaming, light slumber.
How? Sorry if it's too many questions, but how do you know if you're ready?
You do not know, but we do. We look into the capacity of one's spirit to determine if they can bear the burdens that may await them in the lands of dream. It takes a powerful mind.
Me looks at my 30
That's fair.
power.
Sybil sips her wine. Her wine just like. I'm
Well,
very curious about this, but I think we have other problems to
Yes,
attend
I am
to.
certain you are. Your purpose of being here is unusual. There is a parasite upon you. And
Guess we could say we have a bit of a bug.
Indeed you might. For these reasons, such a parasite cannot be removed from you in normal dreaming. The easiest doors to you are between deep dreaming and the dreamlands. That is where you should walk. They, step into the room and just close their eyes and just mutter something in a language that is... You cannot really hear it, but even if you could, you're not sure if you could understand it. And Nash says... You will find, down the steps of deeper slumber, not all the way down, there will be an alcove, a door of black pitch. It is a place that walks between this space and the dreamlands, where he resides in this form, preying upon the minds of men and the wishes of the greedy. You must find the house that moves upon the wind and confront him. We are going to give you a gift. We apologize if this gift goes... Well, you will not remember this gift when you awaken. It is only for this place, but it will serve you well. The knowledge of how to rid this entity from your spirit.
Thank you.
Before we proceed, there is a chance, if you so desire, for each of you to manifest one item from your waking world to bring with you into the Darklands between. You will face perils of personal nature, horrors of the mind and spirit. You may bring one thing with you if you have the power to manifest it. I will ask you individually, is there something you wish to bring with you into the Darklands?
Who's first?
are we talking? We're talking like weapons, like.
If it is a weapon you wish to
Sentimental?
manifest from your world, you may. It is a weapon. Well, we should specify. You can only manifest something you know of or have personal history with from your waking world. Something nearby. It is easier to manifest for the uninitiated that way. It is still a
Right.
difficult task. Not all of you may be able to accomplish it. But if you would like to
Alright.
manifest something, you may certainly try.
I'll go ahead and volunteer.
What is it you wish to bring into the Dreamlands?
You said something close, something that holds some kind of value.
Yes, something that is... Yes.
I'll bring my gun.
Simple but effective. You should be fortunate you are walking into the Darklands. These guns, they do not travel into the dreaming. But this between, it shall work. Hold it in your mind's eye. Picture it, the feel of it, the weight, every texture, every sensation, and then think deeper. Imagine it here if you will. James, give me a power check.
Oh no, not the power
fuck.
checks. Fuck.
Uh-oh.
Ooh, yeah, you try, and unfortunately it does not happen. And you kind of like, when you open your eyes again, like blink at your open palm, Nasht and Kamenthan nod and says, "Do not be disheartened. You are uninitiated. Not everyone can muster such feats. It is all right. Please, have a seat." I'm gonna go one by one. Starting, let's go in order here. Kit, do you want to try to manifest anything into the dream with you?
Yes.
What do you want to manifest?
My rosary.
Make a
One
power
I always
check.
Pocket.
Yeah, make a power check. Hell yeah. You picture the texture, the feel of your rosary, the weight in your hand. When you next open your eyes, you find yourself holding it in your palm. You have brought it into the dream with you. Do not lose it, or else it shall be lost in the waking world.
Good to know.
Mason, do you want to try anything?
Yeah, Mason's gonna. He's gonna try to bring a switchblade.
Okay,
to the world.
give me a power check.
Bah! What the fuck? Oh my god!
Critical failure. Oh, hold on. Let me think about
My
this.
hand's missing. Ah!
You joke, but no. God, I could just take away your hand, couldn't I? No. You feel something in your palm, and when you look down, there is a disgusting viscous mass of like fetid carcass fluid, essentially, that dribbles through your fingers. And like, make a sanity check.
Oh boy.
Okay, you take 1 point of sanity.
Yay!
You
I'm
are-
back down to 30.
You are 1 point away from indefinite insanity.
Oh my god!
Fuck me, dude! Oh my god!
I hate this.
Yeah,
You
Mason's holding this.
you like
this
blanch and
weird
you
thing.
yeah.
Do I'm familiar with bodies.
Yeah.
Do I know what this is?
No. It's awful. It's terrible. And you just like
meat.
Yes. You like scream, like flick your hand, and like spatters on the floor and like sizzles and burns away into fumes.
Ooh.
And they say, and like Nash and Kamentha just regard you and they say, "You have a deeply troubled mind. We hope that you find peace outside of the dreaming."
Yeah, I hope so too. Thank you kindly. And
Sybil,
he wipes his hand.
is there anything you want to try to manifest with you?
Yeah. I will try to manifest. Sybil will try to manifest her mother's fire opal ring.
Okay. Hell yeah. Go ahead and give me a power check. Nice. Yeah. Next thing you realize, you find your mother's fire opal ring on your finger.
There we go.
And Sunil, is there anything you would want to attempt to manifest?
I can't think of anything that he would.
All right.
Honestly.
All right. Fair enough. Part of me was wondering, is someone gonna try to manifest the mask into the dream with them? God, that would be wild.
No.
That
Nothing of this mask. He's never
would
seen.
be crazy. Excellent. Nash
If
and
only Peter
Kamenthar.
Haas were here.
If only. Nash goes, well, actually, and pulls off his face now. It's Peter Haas.
You almost went through the entire stream without showing up.
Almost
God.
choked on a cashew. Thanks.
Nash.
He'll manifest Peter Haas into the dream.
We just unceremoniously drag Walrus into this call.
I would like to manifest Peter Haas. You just met him. He had a very
He had a strong personality. No.
I loved his accent.
Nash says, before you proceed onward, some things you should know. These are the lands of dream. Should you find yourself at harm bodily, you will be alright. Death is not the end for dreamers, but it is the end of dreaming. If you die here, you can never return to the deeper dreams. You will never dream again, in fact, in your waking world either. Should you find yourself burdened by the weight of what your mind is assailed with, you will not die, but understand that if you get too deep in the dreaming, and you lose yourself, the shock of it alone can and will kill your physical waking form. Tread carefully.
So Mason's fucked.
Now,
Mason's so fucked.
only if you drop to 0 sanity while you're here.
Who knows what could happen?
Thank you for all of your help.
You are very welcome. There are other forces that could aid you, but you have been guided here. And while you cannot proceed deeper, and we will exorcise you from these lands once you are finished, you may tempt the spaces between, and attempt to rid yourself of his influence. Tread very carefully. He is not something to be trifled with. Now then, your gift. And they reach out in the shadow of the flickering light of this cavern. You see Nash's shadow sprouts maybe hundreds of arms, not in a horrifying display, almost in just this sense of this all-encompassing presence. Almost like the feel that he's not simply a resident of this space. The figure you're looking at is a manifestation of the space in him. It is this all-encompassing form that all of these shadows reach out and touch your minds. You feel your mind go tunnel for a second as knowledge, eldritch arcane knowledge, fuses your minds. And much to your surprise, you find yourselves keenly aware of what you would need to do exactly to sever this being from your collective presence when the time is right. You've all just learned a spell.
Tight.
But they've,
Alright.
and we will touch on what that means when you confront Lester. Nash and Kamenthal from there guide you to a staircase that winds down, spiraling into darkness, much bigger in overall distance than this, the one you entered. And they say you will walk, and you will find the black door. Step through it. You will be alone until you aren't anymore. It is a place that will try to dissuade you. Do not shirk from your fear. Embrace it, or face utter annihilation of your spirit.
Okay.
One by one, everyone goes down these steep steps in this strange land that exists beyond the waking world and the basic dreams of mortal men. And sure enough, like a diseased cyst in the land around it, there is an alcove that leads to a black, void door that you all find yourselves standing in front of and staring at.
James is gonna go.
James, you go through
Everyone
first.
ready? Oh. Okay.
You all ready?
I'm ready. And James is already going, so
James
on,
is
then.
already going.
Fuck that hesitation.
As
noise.
one by one, everyone enters through this door, you reflect on this knowledge that's been instilled in you. What you understand right now, mechanically speaking, just so we're aware of this and you have time to think about it, one of you is going to have to begin this ritual that you've somehow begun to process in your mind once the time is right. And you will know when the time is right. You just feel that innate sense of awareness. The first person must invest a massive amount of their own power to do this. Mechanically speaking, somebody is going to need to spend 20 magic points to start this ritual off. Once it gets going, and thereafter, anyone who sacrifices more magic points, that donates magic points to this overall pool, will increase the chance of you succeeding at this ritual spell.
okay, so it's 20 cumulative.
No. 20
Oh,
first. And yeah, 20 first. And then yeah, and here's the thing. Here's a little detail. If you don't have enough magic points, you can begin to spend from your health pool. To invest. A single hit point can be converted into a magic point as you begin to channel your actual physical well-being into the spell. So, with that in mind, we're going to begin as everyone finds themselves alone once more. So, I am going to start with James.
Oh,
James,
boy.
when you step through the door, you find yourself in an alleyway. What's familiar about this place is it's completely black and white. Unlike the dream you had before coming here, this place is very similar to that weird dream you had with Lester. This place is black and white. It is cold, it is dark, but you're in some kind of town, city, alleyway. Steaming pipes, a trash can, all around you.
Anything recognizable?
Not from the alleyway, but you can see that it opens out into a street, a main thoroughfare on the far end.
Gonna head that way.
You step out onto the main street, and you know exactly where you are. You're on the streets of Omaha. This is your hometown. It is empty, it is dark, it is shrouded by fog. It is still. No one around. Old shops and buildings. Closed, dark windows. No signs of life.
What's the street itself? Do I recognize the street? Do I know which direction
Oh yeah.
it's in?
Oh yes, you do.
Well, said we needed to head home. Let's go.
In the darkness of the streets, there's not even, the street lamps don't even light the way. Every dark door, window you pass by, you cannot help but feel that there is something on the other side of it, writhing, scratching and clawing, trying to get to you. But you can't see anything beyond the darkness. Something that's just held off in the sidelines, off in the wings.
I wanna look.
You want to look?
I wanna see if I can see it or sense it or whatever it is that someone in this situation would do.
Sure. I am going to ask then to, in your attempt to pierce the darkness, we'll lead this up to the capability of your stats. Roll a spot hidden check. You cannot pierce the darkness with your eyes. There is something there, and a part of you, a deep part maybe, is thankful that you can't see it.
But I know it's there.
But you know it's there.
I'm
Behind every facade of buildings, there is something there.
As he's walking, he kind of glares in its direction. Just wait. Confrontation, just that small.
Mm-hmm.
But a confrontation, nonetheless, an acknowledgement as he continues forward.
Continues forward. You walk by the exterior of a bar, and you pause, and you look over. Goodman's Bar. This is the bar that you met the mysterious man Lester. You keep walking. Zoom, boom! An artillery shell erupts in a nearby building, shattering it to rubble. You can hear the distant of rapid-fire machine guns, popping pistols, shrieking, screaming, lights, distant explosions, far off on the horizon, piercing the veils of mist and clouds. Horrible sounds. You keep walking.
Keep walking. It's not anything I haven't lived through before.
I'm going to ask you, with all of these sounds surrounding you, no matter how many times you may dream after them, you're straddling the line of PTSD, which James has in spades. So why don't you give me a sanity check?
Oh, fuck. Oh, yes!
You push past. You embrace what it is you dread when you close your eyes at night. You embrace the chaos and horror of war. James, men say that war is hell. You know that that's not the case. You know that war is war and hell is hell. And between the two of them, war is the worst. So if this is hell, you've trained for this shit. You keep walking. Kit.
Yeah.
When you step through the door, you are in a place that many people who don't understand would maybe call a fantasy scape, a place that is only imagined in nightmares or distant, troubled dreams of poets and artists. But the gnarled, dark trees, blasted fields, and dark, misty smoke, the forest of Argonne, is familiar for any soldier. Hooks, tangled briars of barbed wire that line the dirty, filthy, muddy trenches. This silence that fills this place is not the quiet of a war won, of battles over. This is the silence of death itself. And you realize that amidst your path, the only way to proceed in this landscape without walking through tangles of barbed wire is down in the trenches.
Kit, I take a shallow breath and I do the very practiced maneuver, a half jump, a half slide to take the edge off and down into the trench, away from the wire,
Away from the wire.
down into the mud. And I begin to follow the trench.
You follow the trench and you come around a bend, and it is lined with the sight of countless soldiers. American, English, German, all sides of the conflict. They are all dead, but they are all strapped to the walls of the trenches, bound by barbed wire. The gnarled lattice work of metal and pain, twisting and contorting them into various positions and holding them as grotesque support beams for the muddy trenches.
Kit pauses and there's a sharp intake of breath, but they're all dead, right?
They are pale as the grave, and they do not move. No breath escapes their lips. They are swollen, they are purple, and they are corpses.
I tug the lapels of my uniform. Feels like I'm wearing a uniform tighter, but one step at a time, one soggy, squishy step at a time.
With each step, it sinks deeper into your shoes. As you pass by the bodies, you hear a pop as one of the corpses' necks turns and looks at you. This dead body, tangled up in barbed wire, bleeding, covered in filth and decay, just goes, "Hey, Kit! Long time no see! How's the war?" And then another one goes, "Yeah, been a while since we seen you here. You look a little worse for wear, buddy." These corpses begin to all chuckle, that ripples out in waves through the labyrinth of trenches that contains these corpses.
Yeah, you think I look bad? When's the last time you saw yourself?
The laughing just ripples and distorts against itself, and just goes, "Say, Kit, how's it being alive, surviving, when none of us got the chance? Do you think you of all people deserve to keep drawing breath?"
What
makes you so special, Kit? Yeah, why do we gotta die? That's the real question. Why is it we had to perish in the trenches of war? And you get to walk and live.
You're right. You're right. There's no reason. There's no rhyme or reason behind any of it. You boys know as well as I do. I won't say it's luck, but it's definitely up to the draw.
There is a resounding silence. And then a voice that is disgustingly familiar to you, that is piled under a bunch of other bodies, you hear say, "So that's all it is then? Just a gamble?" You know, I was so inspired by my big brother fighting in the war. Well, says he's big. We were born at the same time.
We're the same height, Aaron.
You look taller from up here. But I gotta say, I was so inspired by your valorous bravery that when the next war came, I enlisted. I fought. And well, let's just say I'm a little worse for wear. And you can see
Kit's
that she
eyes
is buried.
light up.
She is buried underneath other corpses in this tangle of wall. She has been torn apart by gunfire. She is missing her arms, her legs. Half of her face is blasted by artillery shrapnel. And she's just smiling like she's looking proudly at her brother. Look at me now, Kit. I'm sure the parents would be so proud. I need you to make a sanity check, Kit.
Aaron. Just Kit's crying. He doesn't make a move to wipe the tears away, but Aaron, it always has been a gamble. It never did make sense. You knew that. You knew that as well as I did. You knew that I couldn't stand to be around people that knew me before. That's why I left, Aaron. That's why I could only stay for a month before I had to go, and I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Don't worry, Kit. We all end up here. And eventually you'll come home too.
Yeah. Yeah. Eventually. I gotta go now, Aaron. But like you said, I'm sure I'll be back. You never really leave. You never really leave. We all know that.
She and the countless millions of staring dead just watch you as you move through the trenches, wordlessly staring, until you emerge on the other side of this broken landscape, in the ruined, shelled-out remains of old European architecture, and a single boulevard of lit smoke that guides you the way of your destination, and you walk on. Mason. When you step through the doors, you find yourself in a familiar lobby. The decadence on display here. This is where you've been for so long.
Oh, shit.
Aphrodite's Apostles. It's quiet, faint music drifting ethereally through the hallways beyond.
Okay. First thing Mason does, he's gonna check that front desk. Is there any notes? Any money?
No
Any
notes,
job?
no money, nothing. Just, it is empty, no one's there.
Mason looks around for a moment, and he kind of calls out to the empty lobby, just, "Hello? Hello? Hello? Hello?"
Okay, Mr. Fancy Pants with voice mod.
Shut up! No, don't pull away from it. Let me do it.
Yes, good shit. I love it. No, it's really good. That's the vibe.
He looks around, his voice just kind of reverberating throughout the building, throughout the halls, going up the stairs, going down the stairs. And he's just gonna start making his way to his room.
Yeah, you start walking to your room, the familiar corridors and hallways, empty, music that you can't seem to trace the source. It never sounds closer or farther away, it just is there. And you get to the door of your room and you reach for the handle, but you stop because a voice behind you says, "Well, hey there, darling. Took you long enough to get home." Turn around, you can see Aphrodite standing there in her silken kimono, smoking from a cigarette. Glad to have you back, darling. How was your trip?
It was all right. I'm real tired. I should probably get some rest before the
tired.
next job.
Oh, well, unfortunately, darling, the next job needs you pretty immediately. Sorry, hate to pull you right off of your trip and into the fray again, but we have a rather high-paying client, and, well, I need the best. She, like, walks up to you and, like, runs a cold finger down the side of your face and just, think you're up to it, dollface.
Mason thinks for a minute. He kind of gets a slight something in his chest. Just very, very much a... He knows the feeling all too well, but he will never be alive long enough to be able to put it into words.
Mm-hmm.
But his stomach just kind of grows in knots. Things are screaming at him to run away, or maybe he'll just drop dead right there. But he steels his resolve. Okay. What do I have to do?
Oh. I guess the question is, what don't you have to do, sweetie? But let's see what the client has to say when you get in there. Hey.
What room? What floor?
Hey. Look at me when I'm talking to you. I
Mason
didn't just
does that.
hear tiredness or fatigue in your voice, did I? My best employees aren't fatigued on the job. Anything short of direct enthusiasm for your job. I'm not hearing that, am I? Am I? A sharp smack across the face. I'm not hearing that, am I?
Absolutely not, Didey.
Against the face again. You know what you are, Mason?
What?
On my shelf. You're shiny, clean, beautiful to regard. But you're just meat. Just meat. Meat that'll spoil if left untreated. You don't want to spoil, do you, darling?
I'm not spoiled.
No, you're not. Come on, let's go meet the client. Grabs you tightly by the wrist and drags you off down a side hallway to a door.
And Mason resists.
Yeah. She tugs and stops and says, "Come on, Mason."
Sure thing, Daddy. And he eventually gives in and follows.
She yanks you and pulls you and gets to the door and pushes you in front of it. Now do your fucking job, Mason. Make me my money. She walks off down the hallway, slinking into the shadows.
Mason kind of tightens up his shoulders a little bit. He thinks for a minute. He doesn't even know what kind of client's going to be behind the door, so he unbuttons the first two buttons of his shirt, loosens up his suspenders, and he steps inside.
Push into the four-postered bedroom. Standing there, holding a drink of some sort. A male figure that is back turned to you. Back to you. And as he turns around, you see the familiar angles of his face. The blonde hair, the svelte frame. And in his accent he says, "Mason, my friend. It's been so long since I last saw you."
Larkin?
In the flesh.
Mason has a moment. You know, this is all too familiar. This is, well, that's how they met. But he stops for a minute and he looks at Larkin and you're not real. You're not.
I beg your pardon,
Real.
Mason?
You're not real. None of this is real. This is
Mason, I am
Dreamscape.
hurt by this. Whatever game it is you are playing at the moment.
Larkin, you're dead. I saw you die. I shot you.
Yes, Mason. I am dead. Because you killed me. Shot me dead, and now I am here. I'm always here now. So now, I'm going to do to your outsides what he did to my insides. He reaches a table up behind him, like pulls out like a small, like long knife and syringe of fluid.
Mason
I'm going
begins
to
move
make you
through the
look
door.
like he made me look.
Larkin, you didn't want that in the first place. Larkin. Larkin.
Just lie still, Mason. It will all be over so quickly.
Fuck. 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 And he's gonna go for the door.
Book it out of here as you're sprinting through. Larkin chasing after you. Give me a sanity roll.
Oh, fuck me. Uh-oh. Shit.
Ooh, lovely. Love this. Hold on. You take 5 points of sanity damage. However, before you panic, you are in this dreamland. And as such, insanity does not work the same here. So you do lose 5 sanity points. The mechanics in the dreamlands are different, however. Instead of gaining indefinite temporary insanity, which you... The real world repercussions will be a little different, but while you're here, you are not going to roll anything to see if you know, what happens. What I just need to do is roll a d10 for me. As here in the Dreamlands, loss of sanity to this scale is represented in nightmares. You do not lose yourself to it. 6. Man. I'm sorry that you rolled this number.
Oh, fuck me, dude. Oh,
Mason,
man.
you sprint down these hallways, panicked. It begins to bear down on you. You can't do this. You can't. This is too much. It's in your head. It's clawing deep at your spirit. You're not meant to be here, and the horrors of the dream bear down on you. You wake up at the campsite. You've been shocked out of the dream.
No! 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 No!
You scream
Fuck!
out. You scream out into the night. You see your other companions around you sleeping soundly and still.
No!
And Bill is sitting there and just looks at you.
What happened? What happened?
You
Send
have-
me back!
I cannot.
They need me. They need me. They can't do it on their own. They send me back.
He holds a hand up to you. He says, it is too late for you to return to them.
No.
They may still be able to accomplish this. Just...
Fuck. And Mason curls up in a ball, hands over the back of his neck, as his face just grows hot and red, and his eyes begin to water and drip.
Sybil, it is your turn.
Hello.
You emerge in an extremely familiar mansion. However, unlike the mansion you dreamed of before entering this strange space of dreams, this is not the memory that you tell yourself of and it shapes itself over years. This is the original, genuine article. The house before memory shaped it over the course of years. This is the home that exists at the root of your memory.
Okay. Okay. I guess I'll take a look around.
Yeah, you take a look around for the empty rooms and everything, and you hear a voice echo out through the hallways as you're looking around. Honey? Are you home? And it's the voice of your mother.
Mother. Mother?
We're in
You.
here, in the dining room, Sybil.
Okay. This is very strange. Sybil has not seen the mansion from this viewpoint.
Mm-hmm.
Does look different when you're younger
Yeah.
versus when you're older, so this is very odd. She immediately runs for the room. Okay. That's my mom.
You step into the dining room of your old mansion. You see your mother and your father seated there at the table. A glorious dinner feast laid out before you. And unlike your other dreams, the faces of your parents could not be any clearer, but not just clearer or visually. They feel familiar. They don't feel like strangers in a photograph. These feel like home. And your parents look at you with a smile. Your father says, "Hey there, sweetie. Thought you were gonna be late. Food's still hot. You gonna eat?"
Papa?
Yes, honey, it's us.
It's,
Are you hungry?
I don't...
Oh, well, that's okay. Even if she's not hungry, honey, we can at least sit down and talk as a family, of course. Yes, yes. We have so much to talk about after all, Sybil. Yes, we've got to address first your schooling, and then, of course, your trip overseas.
Yeah. Yes, we have so much to talk about. Yes.
Yes, that's right.
She immediately sits down.
You know, the British science community is very happy that you're going to be joining them overseas in London.
Oh, really? That does sound amazing.
Yes.
I'm surprised. I wanted to do occult studies though at Miskatonic.
Honey, you're still lingering on all that? Yes, even after all these years. Even after they disproved the existence of the occult?
But you can't disprove.
Oh, well, they did. Everything has been explained. It's great. That's why we're celebrating tonight, Sybil. The science community has just finished explaining everything. Not a single shred of mystery left in the world, my dear. A beautiful new future awaits us.
I see. That's wonderful to hear. Sorry, but it's lovely to see both of you. It is. It's really wonderful. But this isn't what I want, and this isn't what I've wanted for a very long time. I love you both. I have to go.
They just look at you, you turn around and begin to walk away, and you come face to face with yourself, who's standing there holding a candelabra. But this is like a dark mirror of you. She just grins with malice and just says, in your voice to you, "We must unlock the secrets," and drops the candelabra, and you watch as the entire dining room catches fire.
No.
A spreading inferno that sweeps over the table, the curtains, the entire house. Your parents erupt into flame where your parents sat, just a column of fire and unearthly screaming of horrified pain. I need
It's
you.
not real, it's not real, it's not real,
I
it's
need you
not
to make a sanity check.
real. It's not real, it's not real.
You proclaim this reality around you, and you maneuver through the flames, and you feel something, a reassuring coldness on your finger against the heat of the fire. You look at your fire opal ring, your mother's fire opal ring that you've brought with you into the dream, and you look at it, and you feel power. And you watch as just with the holding out of your hand, all of the fire begins to rush and funnel and get sucked away into the fire opal ring. It pulls the fabric of the mansion around you with it in a vast, deafening vacuum of sound and heat. It slurps into the ring, and in a great exhale, a snuffing out of everything else, you stand on an empty and barren hill. And now Sunil. Sunil, you find yourself in Cambridge. A vast library of knowledge and science and research. And it is empty. And there's a cold, hollow feeling in the air.
This isn't... Huh. There's normally so many people here. What? And he surveys, he walks forward.
You walk forward. You hear distantly down a hallway a cough. A sickly cough that echoes through the hallway. A disturbingly familiar cough. And you hear a voice behind you go, Mr. Pandey. Behind you is a doctor. A man clad in a lab coat, tie and vest, and holding a file in one hand. Mr. Pandey?
Yes.
Ah, wonderful. Glad you made it on time. Shall we go see your father?
What? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
The treatment's been exceedingly successful. He might be a little outwardly sick still, but I assure you, my friend, he is in better condition than he ever has been. Would you like to go see him?
Yes.
Yes, of course. Would. Right this way. Begins to guide you down hallways, and you watch as the various hallways of Cambridge shift into a pristine and sterile hospital. And takes you outside a door, and as he's walking, this doctor just says, I must tell you, Mr. Pandey, when your father agreed to embark on these more experimental treatments, we were of course a little hesitant of the risks involved, but it seems to have paid off immensely. This new radium treatment is all the buzz.
Sunil blanches immediately, and
here we are. Don't worry. We have him rigged up to plenty of good old-fashioned radium.
You did what?
Oh, yes. It's there. On him and in him.
Is there a door?
There is a door.
Sunil immediately, throws the door open. Father!
Make a sanity check.
Oh, shit.
Do you want to spend anything on that, or can you not spend luck points on sanity checks?
You
sorry,
cannot.
You can't. You cannot. Sorry, my bad. Thank you. Sorry.
Oh my god!
Oh, it's a narrow failure. Sunil, you see, seated, lying in the bed, the bloated, swollen, festering, gooey form of your father in this hospital sickbed, strapped with all sorts of nasty machinery, filling him with poison. Bars, ingots of radium strapped to his skin in surgical vests and implements that is rotting him from both the outside and the inside. His face is a melted mass with a horrifying grimace on its expression, And as it looks at you, it just says, you take, once it rolls, 6 points of sanity damage from seeing this, and I need you to roll a d10.
Oh. Oh. Oh.
A 7. Okay. Remind me what his intelligence score is?
It is 65.
65. 1 second. Um, 65. Okay. You feel a profound shock come over you. Sorry, 1 second. Actually, I need to look something up. There we go. Ah, yes. Excellent. You are able to overcome the shock that follows you from this tremendous horror you look upon. And you feel immense agony, anxiety, and pain. But you scream your father's name into the air, and you watch as, instead of it destroying you, it destroys your surroundings. Vials, medicinal tables, all the surgical equipment blast away, and indeed your surroundings, like a great shattering of glass, burst out into darkness, shattering this illusion.
Papa.
And as clarity supersedes the darkness, James, Kit, Sybil, Sanil, you all find yourself standing on a barren, grassy hill together, surrounded by fog and mist.
Where's Mason?
Not here.
He's not here.
What now?
Do you think that we should wait, that he'll make it through somehow?
I don't know. I don't know any of this. I don't even know what to do from here.
You watch as the clouds and fog that surround this place move over across the top of the hill and solidify into a tall Victorian manor house kind of structure. And a little porch light that flickers on. And the door creaks open.
I don't think Mason's coming. And I think we need to go.
I think we need to go right now.
We were invited to dinner after all.
Can't be late.
You all walk inside the house. It is very organized, very well-to-do, put together. Many bookshelves, trinkets, baubles, doodads on shelves and mantels, and a very well-appointed dining room that Sybil is familiar to you. And seated in the same place at the head of the table, all of you see smiling, surrounded by empty chairs, Lester Goodman. Ah, Finally made it for dinner, I see. Welcome, welcome. Please, have a seat.
You have a lovely.
Thank you, my dear. It's lovely to see all of you here at last. Go on, then. Take your seats. Gesturing at the 10, there are 10 chairs total around the table. Kind of just gesturing at the various chairs.
Sybil sits down at the place that she sat in her dream.
Mm-hmm. I heard one of us isn't gonna make it. That's all right. I just hope his guest found the trip safe by themselves. Left a little piece of us behind. So that still works. Everyone sits down.
Yeah.
There is no dinner on the table. And Lester just sits there, knife and fork in hand. And just stares. All of you feel bile build up in the back of your throat. And a deep, profound nausea. And unanimously, you all vomit onto the table of the dining room. This thick, steaming black bile that streams out of you in a constant flow that spreads out over the table. And as the last of it dribbles off of your lips and down your chin, you cough and you sputter and you retch. It burns. You watch as the piles of bile slurp and undulate and move into the other remaining empty chairs in the room. And those coalesce into 4 other Lesters. They all sit there, staring and looking at each other, going, Lester, 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 Lester. And then you hear like the front door open again, and like a limping slide as a final Lester Goodman appears in the doorway and goes, Sorry, I'm late. My ride broke down on the way here. They all begin to make this inhuman laughter sound at once. Yes, times being what they are, those roads. So, shall we get started on dinner?
What's for dinner?
Us. Let's eat! And you watch as all of the Lesters in this room lunge fairly at one another. You feel yourselves unable to move or look away as you watch these identical copies of this one person, knives and forks in hands, stab and rip into each other in a gory display of cannibalism and savagery, ripping meat from bones, tearing flesh, devouring one another. Blood, hot, steaming, thick, the smell on the air, enough to make even the most hardest, like the most hard-minded man heave. Fetid scent. Until eventually, the sight falls underneath the table. You hear writhing and other noises, and you hear and a single hand covered in blood comes over the other edge of the table at the head, and pulling itself fully upright and erect is one Lester Goodman, covered in blood, a little scraped up, but cracks his neck, straightens his tie, smiles and looks all at you and says, Now, that, I think, is a lot better. You'll have to forgive me. I've been feeling a little spread thin lately. It's good to be whole again. Now then. I've been hitched to you, and I'm not a big fan of that. So what are we going to do with you? Like leans over the table and surveys all of you. I'm not a big fan of having things happen that, well, I don't want to happen. So, what can your old friend Lester Goodman do for you?
You were hitched to us?
Yes, not a fun time. Never fun being spread thin like that.
Uh,
Can I ask? I'm just curious, dear. How did we come to be acquainted?
Oh, I'm sure you'll remember very soon. But, I'm afraid I've overstayed more than I have been wanting to. Places to go, people to see, business to attend to.
Mhm.
I'm just a businessman doing what he business can.
You seem like a man who's really full of yourself.
Ha! In more ways than one, as you just
Yeah.
saw.
That was the joke.
I'm so glad
Right.
you got it.
Mm-hmm. I cast the spell.
You start to cast that. What did you say, James?
who are you?
I'm
Oh.
Lester. Lester
No,
Goodman.
I'm serious. Who are you?
Sybil, you begin focusing. This will take some time, so you can totally begin the process if you want.
Yeah.
You start to feel this knowledge that you don't really fully understand connect into place. You begin to spend it. It'll take you some time. And Lester looks over at you, James, I should say, and says, "Who am I? I'm just someone who likes to help out. Good
All right.
old Lester Goodman. By the way."
Better,
Yes.
by the way, go on.
No. Please, let me hear it.
Better question. What are you?
That's a really fun question, James. A really fun question indeed. And I would love to offer you up so much and more. But I have a feeling this is not the last time we're gonna see each other. Oh, Miss Cordova, what do you think you're doing? You begin channeling the spell. If you want to spend the 20 points altogether, you can. You'll just have to dip into your health pool.
Okay. So that's
Miss-
do I like roll magic or do I just
No,
like...
you just spend the points.
All right,
you just
that's
reduce your
17.
magic point down to 0,
Yep.
and reduce your health points by 0 as well. As you begin to drain the energy from yourself, you feel your veins burst behind your eyes, like your skin grows paler. You start to feel a little anemic, but you push through it to channel more of you into the spell. And he goes, "Oh, Miss Cordova, I'm offended. I invite you into my home, and you try to kick me out like this? Oh, please. That's not nice. Not nice
You
at
said
all.
you didn't like being hitched to us. Why wouldn't you want to be rid of
Because
us as
now
well?
that you're in my home, and I'm back together again, you're not hitched to me, and I like having new friends to play with. And I can give you so much and more. I'm sure there's something you'd love to have. Something you want more than anything. Kit, my old friend. War, what a time. I'm sure there's something you'd really like to have. Maybe forget, or something to stop war from ever happening again. Wouldn't
James
that be
looked-
a great world to live in?
An impossible world to live in.
Oh, not so impossible. And Sunil.
Don't speak to
Sunil
me.
Pandey. Little man, cruel man. Come now. You are a man of knowledge and science for yourself, are you not? I possess many books, many topics I think you might find more than interesting. I'd be happy to point you in the right direction of a collector. What do you say?
Eat shit and die.
That's so rude of you. You channel the magic, Sybil. Anybody else who wants to donate points to this, you can. So here's how this is going to work. This is a percentile chance of this spell succeeding. With what Sybil just donated has given you an initial 5% chance of success. However, for every 1 point of magic everyone donates to this spell gives another 5 percentiles. So 10 magic points will make this a 55 chance of succeeding. However many you want to dump into this and donate will increase your chance of successfully casting this spell.
I will dump in all 15 of my magic points then.
Oh boy. That brings us to a grand total of 80% chance of success so far. Anybody else want to donate some?
I'll throw in 5.
I'll throw an 8.
Oh man, that's going to make this a 100% chance. Cool. Yeah, no, you all begin to use this knowledge to channel it into all of you. And Lester Goodman, whatever he is, stands at the head of the table, grinning, but there is no happiness behind that smile, only a deep and predatory malice, as he just says, "Oh, you're going to regret this, you know. I don't offer chances like this to anyone." Well,
You're quite
then,
handsome, but I'm not a fan of men being inside me that I don't admit them in myself. Get out.
I'm gonna have you say "get out," just be a shooing gesture that finishes the spell. So
Get out.
this is a 100% chance of success. And you sweep your hand, and you watch as Lester stiffens for a second, and the smile peels to the corners of his lip and says, "Oh, we'll see each other again. I'm not too fond of what you did in Peru, but have a safe trip." And he splits apart and shatters into a vessel of black, acrid smoke and disappears. You feel the house tremble and shake, and eventually a thundering blackness takes over you all. All of you wake up around the campfire. The way that, so Dreamland sanity, even though you lost all sanity in the dream, you're not indefinitely insane here. You are still okay. You're just a little shaken, but you're not insane. Yeah.
Everybody okay?
I'm good.
Mason.
Mason, you're all right.
Your friend is all right.
Hey.
But he wasn't there. Is he okay?
He woke up, and I have given him more tea, and he is all right.
That's not what I mean. You know what I mean.
I got pulled out. I couldn't do anything. I tried to stay, and
It's okay. Are you okay?
Xander, is he okay?
Yeah. I mean, other than the shakiness of having, been pulled out of this dream, feeling kind of like a failure, you're not like any worse for wear. It's like you woke up from a bad nightmare, essentially. The worst of it is the feeling of failure.
I'm okay.
James kind of where is Mason right now? Is he like sitting down? Is he still on his blanket? Where is he?
He's sitting up now. He had his moment, before where he was just fucking down, but he was sitting up now, just kind of staring at the floor.
James, I'm assuming there's someone in between him and Mason, so James kind of gets up, steps over, holds a hand out to him to help him up.
You help him up. As you come to your feet, you all pause for a moment, and you realize you remember. All of you remember everything that happened to you in the last week. And all of you share a glance at one another, and you know exactly where Jackson Elias is and what you have to do next. And that's where we're going to end for this week. Tune in next Friday for the finale of Call of Cthulhu, Path of Perdition. Love you all. Until next time, Cthulhu Fatagan.